Hello, this is a tutorial for my instrumental rendition of Neon by John Mayer on the ukulele. If you haven't heard my full rendition, you can click on it right there, or there will also be a link in the description. Also, I made a tab for this song, and you can get that in the description as well. So I'd recommend you download the tab so you can follow along. Also, I'm playing this with a low G tuning, and you definitely want to try to play this on a low G if you can. So I'm just going to teach you, first of all, this technique that I use throughout most of this song. It's basically a roll where you assign a finger to each string and it stays on there and you just kind of roll off. You're plucking each string individually and kind of rolling off the strings. However, the way I play it is slightly different than that in this song most of the time. I use my thumb for both the G string and the C string, and then I use my index finger for the E string and middle finger for the A string. So it'll be just a roll off like that. And if you haven't played like that, you definitely want to practice that because in some parts of the song, like this chord, I play it pretty fast. And so you want to be able to play it pretty fast and evenly and get a good sound out of it. So let's get started on the main riff right in the beginning of the song. The chords of this are, starting out is this G5, which is 2nd fret C string, 3rd fret E string, and 5th fret A string, which you can play maybe like this. What I do, just how I like to play it, is I hold down the regular G chord and then add on the 5 on the A string. And then you're going to be dropping that 5 down to a 3, which is a G sus. Jesus chord. The next chord is a B flat sus 2 or a B flat 2, which is 3rd fret on the G string, open C string, and 1st fret on the E string and the A string, which you just hold it down with your index finger, hold down both of those strings. The third chord I'm not going to show you right now because I don't actually play the whole chord, so I don't hold down the whole chord when I play it. I'll show you how I do it a little bit later. The last two chords are further up on the fretboard, and what you're going to do is for the first one, you're going to bar across the 5th fret, and then you're going to hold down the 6th fret on the E string and the A string, and then the 8th fret on the G string. So it's going to be 8, 5, 6, 6. And that's like a E flat sus 2 or a B flat suspended 4. And then the last chord of this intro is just bar across the 5th fret on the C string, E string, and A string and leave the G string open. And that's technically like a D minor add 4, but I'm just going to call it a D minor chord. And so that's what I'll be talking about when I say the D minor chord for the rest of this tutorial. So to start out with the first chord, that G5 to G suspended, you're just going to play all 4 strings individually in that way that I showed you in the beginning. And then drop that 5 on the A string down to a 3. And play the E string as well when you play the 3 on the A string. And then the next chord, to lead into it, you're going to play the open G to the 3 on the G string to lead into it. That B flat sus 2. And you're going to play all 4 strings and then come back to the E string after you play the A string. And then the next chord, just keep the 1st fret held down on the E string and the A string and go to the 3rd fret on the C string and then pull off to the open C string. And then you're going to play the 1st fret, E string, A string, E string. So the end of that chord is like the end of the last chord, but the first 2 notes are different. It's 3 on the C string, open C string. And then you're going to play the last 2 chords, the ones up here. And the way you're going to play it is you're just going to play all 4 strings in a row. But on this first chord, play pretty fast. And then the second chord is slower. So that whole thing slowly is this. And so if that seems really difficult or challenging, and it's like, oh, I'm just barely starting and it's already super hard, that really is the hardest part of the song. So once you kind of know how it goes, but you can't necessarily play it at full speed or whatever, just move on to the rest of the song. you know, and just always be working on it as you're working on the rest of the song. And most of the time throughout this song, I'm actually going to be playing with an open G string. And so if I say, you know, all three strings, what I'm talking about is the C string, E string, and A string, because most of the time you're just putting your fingers down on those three strings. And this first chord is going to be, you're going to bar across the 7th fret across all three strings, all of those three strings, just with an open G, and then put your second finger down on the 6th fret on the E string and the A string. And what that is a C suspended. And then you want to drop down 2 frets, so it'll be 5, 6, 6 on the C, E, and A strings. And then you take off that second finger, so it's just 5, and you have that D minor chord again that you play in the main riff. So you're going to play that C suspended shape. Just play G, C, G string, C string, and then pluck the E and the A strings together. And then go down 2 frets to the B flat suspended. And I like to play it, you know, rolling off all the strings like that, pretty fast. And then play that D minor shape. And then you're going to slide down, playing the E string and A string together, both on the 3rd fret, and then both on the 1st fret. But you're also going to be playing the C string. So when you play the 3rd frets, just play open C string, but when you play 1st fret on the E string and the A string, also play 3rd fret on the C string. So it'll be and then you're going to play the last 2 chords of the main riff, just like you play them in the main riff. Then you're going to play basically the first part of the main riff, that G5 to G suspended chord. So you're just going to play that, just like you do in the beginning, but then you're going to go to holding down 1st fret on the E string and the A string, and then hammer on to 3rd fret on the A string. So it'll be... So what you're going to play is that, and then down to 1st fret again, twice. And then you're going to play that C suspended shape up here on the 7th and 8th frets. Strum it, and then play the D minor shape. And then play 8th fret on the E string just by itself, and then 6th fret on the E string. So that part's going to be like... Then you're going to play this other shape, which is 7th fret, bar all strings on the 7th fret, and then play 8th fret on the E string and 10th fret on the A string. And then you're going to play it with the rhythm kind of that you play the chords in the beginning. So play all 4 strings, and then you're going to drop that 10th fret down to an 8th fret, and then play it again, and then drop down to playing the 3 strings, 3 bottom strings, all on the 5th fret, and then hammer on to 8th fret on the A string and the E string, and then back down to 5th fret 3 times. So that part's going to be... And then you're going to play the last 2 chords of the main riff again. What you're going to be doing is the melody, so you're going to be playing the same fret on the E string and the A string, starting with 8th fret, down to 5th fret, back to 8, and then slide up to 10, back to 8, 5, 3, 1. And you're also going to be playing the C string through a lot of that, which a lot of it's just going to be an open C string. And then ending with the 1st fret on the E string and A string, playing the 3rd fret on the C string, just like you did earlier in the verse. So it'll be... And then you're going to start strumming because you're going into the pre-chorus. Now, for the pre-chorus, you're going to be playing 3 3rd fret on the E string and the A string, and the melody is going to be 3 5 on the A string, and then to 3rd fret on the E string. But you still want to hold down 3rd fret on both of those strings because you're going to be playing both of those strings. And then it's going to be 3 5 again. But then you're going to want to drop your E string from 3rd fret down to 1st fret. So it'll be, and then to E string 1st fret. So it'll be 3 5 3 3 5 1. And then you want to hammer on from 1st fret to 3rd fret on the E string, and then 1st fret on the A string, because you're going to drop that 3rd fret down to 1st fret on the A string, so you're playing both the 1st fret on both of those strings. And then back to 3rd fret on the A string. But you're going to be strumming the strings with that, so it'll be... And when you play the melody on the E string, you want to just try to emphasize that by kind of hitting the E string with your fingernail. And then on the last note, you're going to add 3rd fret on the C string. So it's going to be 3rd fret, 1st fret, 3rd fret with an open G string. So and then you're going to be muting your strings by just placing your fingers lightly over the strings to get that mute sound, and for 2 counts. And then you go back into the main riff. And play that twice, and then you're going to be going into the 2nd verse. So the 2nd verse is going to start like that. It's going to be that C suspended, 7 8 8, to down 2 frets to that B flat suspended, 5 6 6, to that D minor, 5th fret on all 3 strings. And don't play the G string, just pluck those 3 strings, so it'll be... And then you're going to be playing the last 2 chords of the main riff, gently, softly. Then you're going to be playing E string and A string on the same fret, 5 5 3 3 1. And then kind of play the C string a little bit too, just open. And then you're ending on 1st fret E string and 3rd fret C string. And then you're going to play the last 2 chords of the main riff again, but faster and more abrupt. So it'll be... Then you're going to be playing that C suspended, the 7 8 8, and you're going to be playing A string and E string together, and then C string. So E string and A string twice, and then C string. And then you're going to be adding 10th fret on the A string, and play the A string and the E string together. And then back down to the 8th fret and play that twice, E string and A string. And then you want to add 10th fret on the E string. And then pull back off to 8th fret, back to 8th fret on the E string. And then hammer on back to 10 on the E string. And then back to 8th fret. So that might sound kind of confusing, but it's going to be the whole thing so far. And then play 10th fret on the C string. So it's going to be... Then you're going to want to play that D minor shape, 5th fret off on all 3 strings with an open G string, and strum it, just a quick down up. And then you're going to play the end of it just like you played the end of the first verse, playing the same fret on the E string and A string. 8, 8, 5, 8, 10, 8, 5, 3, 1. And then add in that third fret on the C string. So, but you're going to do a little more strummy action. And then back into the pre-chorus. This time you're not going to end it with a, you're going to play it twice. So it'll be, and then just going to keep strumming that, and then go back into it. And then you're going to do something a little different. You're going to play first fret, both E string and A string, third fret, both strings, and then 6th fret on the E string, 5th fret on the A string, and then bring that A string up to a 6th fret, so it's 6th fret on both strings. And then you're going to play 8th fret on both E string and A string, but also 9 on the C string. So it'll be, but then what you're going to want to do is lightly put your third finger on the G string so it doesn't ring out. And you're going to be strumming those 3 strings. And that's going to be 5th fret on the E string and the A string, twice, and then back to 8th fret. And then you're into the chorus. So the chorus is going to be these chords played all on the 3rd string. So the chorus, the G string is going to be open pretty much the entire time. So it's going to be 13th fret on the E string and the A string, way up here, and 14th fret on the C string. And then down to 12th fret C string, 13th fret E string, 12th fret A string, which is exactly like your G, your regular G chord shape. Just way up here on 12, 13, 12. And then down to 10th fret on all 3 strings, C, E, and A. So it'll be, and then you're going to drop down to 9th fret on the C string, 8th fret on the E string and the A string. And then you're going to do something that might be a little tricky. You're going to want to hammer on from there with your 3rd finger to the 10th fret on all 3 strings. And then that last time you're going to play it a little bit differently. When you get to that chord that's 9th fret on the C string and 8th fret on the E and the A string, you're also going to want to add in 7 on the G string. And so you play that by just barring all the way across the 7th fret and then adding in the 9th and 8th frets on the other strings. So that last line will be, and now then slide that whole thing down 2 frets, so it'll be 5, 7, 6, 6. And then you're going to be going for that last line, strum that once, and then go up 2 frets back to the 7, 9, 8, 8. And then play 10th fret on all 3 bottom strings, and then back down to this shape that you just played, and then back down to that shape, and then 5th fret, that D minor shape, and then 3rd fret on the E string and the A string and open C string, and then 1st fret on the E string, A string, and open C string. So it'll be, then you want to go back, right back into the main riff, play that twice, and then go into the 3rd verse. The 3rd verse is going to start with that C suspended shape, playing only the bottom 3 strings, and it's going to be pretty soft for the first part of this verse. And then you reach all the way up to the 13th fret on the A string. And then back down to 8th fret on those 2 strings, E string and A string. And then to 5th fret. And then back up to 8th fret. Then you want to play those 2 chords that are at the end of the main riff softly. And then you want to play 8th fret on E string and A string to 5. 8, 8, 8, 5, and then play 8th fret on the E string all by itself, and then play 5 on the A string, and then you're going to be hammering on to 6, 5, 6, 5, hammering on and then pulling off. And then you're going to play the last two chords of the main riff again, but faster and abrupt. Just a fast down up. Then what you're going to be playing is keep that finger across the 5th fret on all 3 bottom strings, and then what you're going to be doing is adding in 6th fret on the E string, and then hammering on the 8th fret. But you're going to be strumming it. And then do an up strum, taking that finger off of the 6th fret, so it's just 5th fret on all 3 of those strings, that D minor chord. So, and then 8th fret on the A string, and then you're going to be playing some of those chords that you play during the chorus. So the 12, 13, 12 to the 14, 13, 13 down to 10, 10, 10. So that line is then you're going to go down to 1st fret on the E string and the A string, slide up to 3rd fret, and then put down 5th fret on all 3 strings, playing that D minor shape, and then play 8th fret on the E string and the A string with the open C string, and then go back to the 12, 13, 12 shape to the 14, 13, 13 shape. Play that twice, and then with your 3rd finger mute the G string by just placing it lightly there. So that last line. Then you're going to play the pre-chorus, but you're going to play it a little bit differently. You're going to play the C suspended shape, up here of 7, 8, 8, strumming, and then go up to 10 on the A string, and then all the way up to 12 on the A string, 10, 12, 8, back to 8, but also you're going to drop the E string from the 8th fret to the 6th fret. So it'll be open G, 7 on the C string, 6 on the E string, and 8 on the A string. So then you're going to play the A string all by itself, and you're going to play 10th fret and bend it to 8, to 6, back to 8, and then you're going to want to play 9 on the E string, and then 6 on the E string. So, and then hold down also the A string on that 6 and kind of strum. So it'll be and play it again to this point, and then you're going to be playing 6th fret on the E string, 8th fret on the A string. You'll already be holding that down, and then you're going to keep the 8th fret held down on the A string the whole time, but move the E string from 6 to 8 to 10 to 11, and then 13 on both strings. And then drop the A string down to 12, you keep the E on the 13 for two plucks, and then back to 13 on both strings. So it'll be and then into the chorus. And then you're going to go back into the riff just like you did last time you played the chorus. But this time you're going to play it 4 times. And on that 4th time, those last 2 chords, instead of picking them, plucking them like that, you're going to strum them with the up, down, up. And then go right back into the pre-chorus instead of going into a verse. So the last time through the main riff is going to be and then you're going to go right back into the chorus, and then after the chorus you're going to end it a little bit differently. So that last line where you go you're going to go up, then you're going to do that line that normally would be. What you're going to do is go play those first 3 shapes and then kind of a muted strum. Play it again. So then down from the 3rd shape to the 2nd shape to the 1st shape, and then from that to the D minor shape to 3rd fret on the E string and the A string and open C string, to 1st fret on the E string and A string and open G and C strings, and you'll go right back into the riff, and that'll be the outro. Play it I think 8 times. After the first 4 times, start to fade out, and then towards the end of it, slow down as well. So it'll be. And then I end on this chord, which is a chord we played earlier. It's barred across the 7th fret on all strings, 8th fret on the E string, 10th fret on the A string, which is a way to play G suspended. And that's it. Again, the main riff is the hardest part. Once you kind of got it down, you can go to the original video and play along, which again is going to be right there and also in the description. If you like this video, please subscribe for more tutorials and more covers. Thanks.